my question to anybody out there that does not want to see him for the remainder of the year, why? Why? That's my only. If you can give me, because the more and more I think about it, and I said it a moment ago, right? I can see both sides of the coin. Doesn't mean I agree with both sides of the coin. Like this idea of trying to protect him from getting hurt, and you don't want him to go into the offseason hurt. Like, don't get hurt. Like that's a part of the job. The one other thing that blows the hell out of me, this idea of like, well, there are starting wide receivers out there. Who the hell cares? It's your job if it was me and you out there at wide receiver, his job, although it becomes, increasingly difficult.
Way more difficult.
Your job is to get to the top of the drop and let it go. Like, that's what I did not see enough from him this year. Even in the games that he played well, you got to play on time. And that's something, and the reason it blows my mind and I get worked up about it, it was literally his superpower a year ago. I'll never forget the first time I laid eyes on him during OTAs and mandatory minicamp. I'm watching him run 7-on-7 and then Mariota run 7-on-7. Mariota's a 10-year vet scrambling, not playing on time. Jayden's getting it out, taking what the defense is giving him. You can't go broke taking a profit. That's why I want to see him. Get back to what I know you can do.
You need to see that again.
Yeah.
And I want to see it with Terry, by the way. Like
exactly.
Terry is going to come back as well. There is no bubble wrapping Terry. I would like to see multiple games in a row where Jayden has Terry and Debo at his disposal. I don't really care about everybody else. I want Terry and Debo. And you know that McLaurin is going to be coming back. He was out there in Spain. They traveled him to Spain. They knew he wasn't going to play, but they traveled him to Spain because he is on the up and up. You get an entire bye week here for him to continue to get better, continue to get healthy. I need to see Terry back out there, and I need to see Jayden back out there. And then to an extent, Lynnell, one of the things that really helped him, I thought, last year, really hit the level that he hit, was he understood, and it's not like I'm just saying I want him to go out here and make terrible throws. But he understood that a bad throw is a bad throw. It is what it is. You get right back up. There was a point where, this year in particular, it feels like he does not want to make throws that are NFL levels of open because he's so concerned with protecting the football. And again, I'm not saying go be a gunslinger and throw into triple coverage.
Right.
But you got to be comfortable throwing into some tight windows. If a turnover happens, you're on to the next play. You're good enough to be able to overcome 1 to 2 interceptions as long as you are still confident in your abilities. So I do kind of want to see him go out there and not be so cautious to the fact where you're leaving plays on the field because you're worried about the potential of a turnover, which it felt like particularly in the Green Bay matchup. And that Green Bay defense was the best defense I think that Washington has played to this point, them or Seattle. But in that Green Bay in particular, I went back and looked and I saw like, hey man, like Terry was open sometimes.
Dudes are open.
And you just have to. You got to trust it, and you got to sling it in there, man. He has the arm strength to do so. So I need to see that when he does come back. Denver would be a really great opportunity because that's a really, really good defense, especially if Surtain is going to be fully back and healthy by that point, going up against Terry, which that's maybe a little bit alarming. But I want to see him go out there, be confident. I don't care about wins right now, man. Honestly, the best case scenario for the team is if he's really confident, plays really well, and the defense is so bad that they lose.
Yeah, point blank. And I think the one, like I said a moment ago, the thing that has me, I got to find the right adjective. It's raised my eyebrows. It's just watching how he's looked this year when he has played. There is a little bit of, indecisiveness that's there that did not exist last year. And I think you hit it right on the head. He's been hit so many times this year. I'm not calling him soft. I'm not saying he can't win from the pocket. To me, even when Kurt Warner did the Seattle breakdown, there was an unwillingness to stand in the pocket, make the throw, knowing you're going to take the shot on the chin. And I thought he was so good at that last year. But you mentioned trust, and I think you hit it right on the head. Down the stretch last year, I was saying this. There was a clear lack of trust in the offensive line down the stretch last year, which is why you saw in the Philly game, the Atlanta game, this uptick in scrambles.
Yes.
He scrambled 16, 17 times against the Falcons.
Right.
Against Philly, he scrambled 12 times. So I'm okay with him using the superpower to his advantage, but I also want to see the other stuff that made you a number 2 pick.
And I think there's one thing I want to add in here, and I have had this stance for a year and a half now. Some of this is going to be on Cliff. No quarterback powers. I don't need to see quarterback sweeps.
Yeah.
I don't need to see quarterback powers. You have running backs for that reason. If you're objective,
and you have a gadget,
and you have a if your objective is you want to see Jayden Daniels play, and you share the objective that we have, which is I want to see him get in rhythm. I want to see him be confident throwing the football, throwing into tight windows. All of that is good and well. Do not run him into the mass amount of bodies that occupy the line of scrimmage. Just do not do that. Run the football with the running backs or your gadget guys. You got 4 dudes.
Yeah.
4 dudes that you could run that football with that are not Jayden Daniels. So some of that has to be on Cliff too. I know you want to use his legs, and I'm not opposed to him scrambling. I think his scrambles have actually resulted in some pretty positive plays.
He's the best scrambler in football.
He's the best scrambler in football.
Well, last year he was, at least.
But I do not need to see designed quarterback powers if you're trying to keep a guy healthy.
So
that falls on the OC.
There's a number that NFL Live put up, and I think I screenshotted it. Either way, it was he's taken the most hits by a quarterback since the start of last year, and the number is he's like plus 100, like 100 more hits than the next guy. And when you think about the time he's missed this year, that's alarming.
That is alarming. Yeah, he's had 54 carries this year. 54.
Yeah.
There's been 3 games where he's had double-digit carries.
But that's why I go back, and this is why this conversation is like fascinating to me, because I have found on social media, Denton, at NELL_BTP, God forbid you have anything critical to say about the quarterback. People act as if you're swearing in church. So I walk a fine line when talking about the way that he's played this year. There's 2 different things. There's 1, you can't talk about him, and then there's 2, people that do talk about him but aren't being totally honest. Those scramble numbers are like that because his ass is getting to the top of the drop and bailing the pocket. Throw the ball. That's my number 1 thing with him that I want to see when he returns. Let's play on time. Let's play in rhythm. Something that Marcus Mariota has actually done really, really well.
He did yesterday. So I want to see that from Jayden.
Yeah.
I want to see him deliver. I want to see the completion numbers. So his percentages completion-wise, he had 1 game where he was above, or 2 games, when he was above 60%. 3 games. 2 of them above 70. That was the Chicago game, which I thought he played really well in. That was the Seattle game, which was not the most fun game in the world. But the Seattle game was when he was really at a disadvantage talent-wise. Yeah. So I just want to see him get in there. I'm not looking for – it's not like I'm looking for numbers in specific. It's very much an eye test thing.
Yes.
You're going to go back in there.
Let me see it.
And then I just want to see it because there were moments in that game against Chicago, particularly in the third and fourth quarter, before the fumble, where he's making Jalen Lane look like a superstar. He's making Luke look like a superstar. You just had that fumble that kind of ruined it, right? That game against Los Angeles, that was a fun game to watch. That was a fun game to be a part of. We were watching that one at a bar at Honor Brewing in Sterling. That was a fun day. Right, he's making big plays. There was that throw in the back of the end zone to Debo. Like that was the Jayden Daniels that I wanted to see. So I need to see him come back, and I want to see him look a lot more like that than we did see him the way against Dallas and against Green Bay, and to an extent against Seattle. I know that completion percentage number is pretty good, but they could not do anything against that Seattle offense.